Hey, you made it. You made it back.
Yes, I made it back. I also
Hey.
give me a
Welcome.
second.
I'm so glad you did. Hmm?
No, I stubbed my toe as soon as I
Oh
joined.
no. Oh
Yep.
no. Are you okay?
Just give me just a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna be okay. It just
Okay.
hurts.
Yes. Take your time. We have a moment.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
for sure. What's that? Oh, no, it was something on my table. I was like, I don't know what that is. It's always weird. You don't know what a substance is. I figured it out very quickly, but I didn't know at first. All right. Hold on a second. Talking to Shiva. Somebody joined right now, they'd be like, "What is going on?" But things are going on. You just can't see, you can't hear or see them. Things are definitely happening. Many, many things. I love how I said I was going to grab water and didn't. So, I mean, we're going to get started late. This particular presentation doesn't take anywhere near an hour, so it's like it's not a problem if we make sure that we get everybody settled. I don't know, Sheba. I'm so sorry. I wish I could more, more um with it. I mean, to me, I honestly like it baffles me. Oh, you might need to restart Chrome. I didn't actually think about that. Sometimes if you um initiate, what a terrible word. Turn it on in settings, you have to restart Chrome. It happens every once in a while. So if you're willing to try that, we will be here. I love these little robot guys that wave. They're so cute. Do you know what I mean? Like in our little intro section from the Me 6. But okay, just 1 second. Cheap is restarting the Chrome, I would believe.
I'm here. Just gonna have a swollen toe in a little bit. I hit it pretty good. It's gonna be okay. It'll, it'll do better in a few hours. I'll put some ice on it. But that does not feel good. Well, how is everyone? Awesome. I will just sit back and hmm. So I was standing up and I actually hit the bed frame pretty good. Pretty good. That was not fun. The beds, they just don't like people these days. Oh, that is definitely going to feel some type of way in a bit. Goodness. Oh, that's okay though. I thought I had missed it because it said 3 o'clock and I'm on Central Time and I'm like, okay, I think that they did this earlier today. And I just happened to see that was going on. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't miss it. So now I'm here. I think that was the person that was here before.
Yeah, Sheba did. Sheba joined your server and then joined here, which is really cool. So thank you for that.
Oh, those are connected? I didn't even know that it does that. That's cool.
Right. I think it's did you put a link there or something? Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's neat. Cool. Well, look at that. Looky there. A girl did it? That's one thing I wanna do more often is just like I was doing really good at that for a little bit of getting like lists into TikTok. I just find like sometimes like social media gets overwhelming.
That is the truth. I am still trying to figure this out.
Like, have you TikToked? Have you Twittered? I'm like, oh. Have you Discorded? I'm like, oh, just add it to the list, please. I don't know if I'm
I
getting
have
old.
a
I
Discord
just
that's
don't know
like
what it is.
dead. I don't do Twitter. I'm trying. So like I'm looking at everybody else's stuff. I'm like, everybody's Discord has all this stuff and mine doesn't.
Well, ours is pretty quiet, and I think it's also like who the demographics are that you're bringing in as well. Like, so for example, like most of the people that are probably here are like working women that aren't remote or aren't at home during the, you know what I'm saying? And then like they're not. A lot of them have never ever used Discord before now.
Mm,
And so getting them to actually use it, number one, is a challenge because A, it's very overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming. I mean, input wise, it's very much, it's too much. Like, I don't like, to me, it's just too much. Like, if you're in multiple channel or multiple rooms, it just it gets wild. Um, and I think that that keeps people from utilizing it. And then the whole thing with like, oh, everybody's like, we're all going to move to Twitter spaces. And I'm like, okay, I mean, and then everybody's complaining about Twitter Spaces because they don't work very well, and it's just like everybody's trying to find a home. Just don't know if I don't know. They it needs to be somewhere between Discord and Telegram.
mm.
Telegram's not enough, and Discord's too much. You know what I mean? Discord is just like I have been in software for a long time, and this is too much for me to even look at. Like I don't even want to look at it. My brain hurts when every time I look at it. I'm like, that's so much information to take in.
I think it's just because there's so many different channels that you can go to in a channel, and it's just a lot.
Yes.
My channel, I think, has like 3, maybe 4 subsections at that. Like when I say it's dead, I think I have 15 members consistently. I'm
Hmm.
still working out the kinks on what I'm doing and how I'm presenting it because I do understand what my services are or what I bring to the proverbial board. And so now it's just culminating that into an actual.
last 5 minutes, but which means that we are on Twitch and YouTube, um, live streaming this whole thing. Everyone can hear what everyone is saying. Just don't want you guys to be surprised by that, and you know, just keep that in mind. So there you go. Have fun, learn. I will respond when I need to, and hope Lisa teaches you something cool.
Thank you. We
Awesome.
appreciate your support. All right.
Okay. So on my journey, I want to say I'm at the beginning. I've done some research, like I told you before, just basic overall general knowledge of NFTs, smart contracts, a little here and there on wallets, but more so I wanted to gain a better understanding of NFTs, the cryptocurrency space, and how I can best utilize it for, my purposes, because I know that you can do it for so many different things from artistry to, actual business applications like a restaurant and things of that nature. And I have so many ideas, and I'm just wondering or trying to sort out where this can play into that. So that's pretty much it for me.
Wonderful. Welcome. Just real quick, do you do live events yet? I don't remember the answer to that.
I
Do you do
am
like
in
live
the
events?
process of scheduling it. Oh, for you, I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Just in general for your business. I remember you had your own little
Oh,
business
yeah,
going,
no,
right?
yes, I'm in the process of working towards live events. I was wanting to, I guess, align my Discord to do
Hmm.
so because I don't have enough followers on like TikTok. I don't do YouTube heavily. And all I really have as far as like a hub is my webpage. And so I'm really trying to expand out because it doesn't have a lot of presence. I'm not very good at social media or marketing yet. So I've been doing everything myself. And there's so much that you have to do when you're doing it on your own as an entrepreneur. And
Indeed.
I've just, yeah, so I've just been doing a lot of
Yeah.
research and then applying, the little bits here and there as I guess, gotten the confidence to say, okay, I understand this concept. Let me put this into play. But
Mhm.
I've not gone viral on anything. I've not got a massive following. I'm literally in the infancy. And so I'm really wanting to make sure that I make the right moves and get the proper understanding so that, even when the mistakes come, they're not as detrimental to the momentum that I've already built up for my business.
That's fantastic. No, that's really neat. And just one last question, just to confirm, are you doing any would they all be virtual events, or would any of them ever be like live events? Or would it
Eventually,
just
I
be
hope to move them
virtual?
to live events,
Okay.
but currently, most of my events are virtual.
Okay. That gives me a good go at it. So thank you. Well, welcome. I appreciate it. I'm going to
Great,
put my
thanks.
glasses back on because I was itching my eye. All right. So, hi, Genzizos. Hold on, Genzos. I feel like I did not pronounce that right. If you would like to chat, feel free to unmute and let us know. If not, we are happy to move on to Sheba. And if Sheba wants to chat, let us know. And if not, we are happy to get started. Okay.
Hey, yeah, Lisa, just want to say hi. I'm kind of new with NFT and I kind of also wanted to learn more about how to apply and understand the usage of it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
NFTs. Okay, cool. So what I was going to do today is typically I go through a crypto wallet, essentially baseline 101, which starts a lot of really good questions about the fundamentals of the blockchain and crypto and wallets and how they're used and how things are transferred and moved and all that. So I wanted to kind of get an idea, if that sounds okay to both of you. We could go through that, then we could skip forward if you all feel like it's just not, it's just maybe a lower level information that you need. Does that sound okay?
You never know what could help.
You never know. So I'll
Yeah.
start here. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So let me do this. I always like to I don't give a formal presentation, more so I send out this little document, which I'm about to attach in the main room, so that you can have it and take it with you. And that everything that we do today will just translate, hopefully, into, this will just give you visuals so that you can take the knowledge away from today. So let me at least get this uploaded. I'm going to put it into the lounge. So just a second. It's probably uploaded in the lounge like 800 times, but that's absolutely okay. Okay, so there's the little PDF that we like to work off of. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You're welcome to ignore my screen and look at the PDF. I'll do my best at telling you where we're at if you'd like to do that instead. Okay, so let me go ahead and get this screen sharing going.
Also, Waffle side note, I love the imagery in the post that you have before this one in the main chat. That is a really pretty picture, seriously. And I think these are, yes, the
The
women
women. Oh, the women
from
in the
Cosmos.
Cosmos?
Yes. Oh, that's not you? Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to look at that. Well, I don't know who the creator is, but her work is absolutely gorgeous, or their work is
Yeah,
absolutely
feel
gorgeous.
free to click on that. It looks like they're looks like they're a collection of women. Wait, no, is a female-led artist collection.
Okay, great. I don't want to stop things from going, so I'm gonna just sit
No, you're
beside it
good. But
quietly.
it's pretty relaxed.
No
Yeah,
worries.
this is definitely a very relaxed experience. You can tell we got started super late, which is absolutely okay. As soon as I get formal, I will let you all know. I'll give you warning. I'll be like, I'm about to get super formal on y'all. Okay. Let me share this and then we'll get going. Sorry, for whatever reason,
Accent comes right out. I love when I hear other people say y'all. It lets me know
It
I'm not
really
alone.
does. It really does. Okay. And go live. I hate those weirdest technology. Okay. Can you see that okay? Nope. It stopped screen sharing. I remember this did this last time. Can you guys see this
I can
screen
see it.
I
sharing
can see
okay? Oh, okay. It just keeps giving me a notification of some sort. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to start at number 1, obviously go through 3. And I really like to start a wallets, which may in some way seem, like I said before, somewhat like basic, but there's so much fundamental core information that I believe comes from wallets. So I love to talk about wallets and get people started in wallets. And hopefully at some point you'll feel comfortable either downloading a wallet or maybe getting a custodial wallet, which we'll talk about here in a second. Just making that next move, whatever that is, into this world. And if your next move is you already bought crypto, now you want to learn how to swap, well, we may not talk about that here, but let me know, right? So as you continue to learn, let us know, and as you're developing your learning, and hopefully maybe even learning stuff from here, feel free to say something so that you can continue to get information that's important to you. I don't always know what you need, but I'm going to do my best to continue to keep keep that door open. So feel free to let me know what you need as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to zoom in, hopefully not too much or it makes people crazy. Is that okay? Does that look okay for everybody?
Good to me.
good for me.
Okay, wonderful. So I like to start with understanding the difference between non-custodial and custodial wallets. And the reason I like to do this is because this will set up the core base of knowledge foundationally of whether or not it's your responsibility or it's the responsibility of an exchange. And in crypto, unlike the traditional centralized world, where you're FDIC insured, potentially if the United States, I don't know what that might be in other locations, but in the States, up to like $1 million or something is FDIC insured. And if something were to happen, you can contact your bank, and that bank has a third party that a lot of times that they work with for processing of different types of transactions. That whole infrastructure does not exist when you are the owner of your wallet. And but that's the fun part. The fun, crazy, that's what's awesome about crypto. If you ask me about the blockchain, about crypto, is that it puts a challenge to that core centralized infrastructure that has been created that we can't budge, because so many people are making so much money off of secondary and tertiary purchasing, from whatever percent that they're getting. just take it. Just take the word.
Gotcha.
A
And
polite way
so
to say it is the word is tertiary.
I'm sorry.
he and I are pretty blunt to each other.
Yeah.
I digress.
Oh, sorry, my hand phone. Let me turn it off. Yeah, and so that's the important part here. So let's step back a little bit. Just conceptually, I wanted you to understand kind of that's what the exciting part is that putting that in your hands gives you choice, but choice brings you risk, and so on and so forth. Let's go back to the basic, which is what is a non-custodial versus a custodial. The one I'm going to start with is actually number 2, and I might want to swap these. I'm going to start with the custodial wallet because this is the one that you may start at, but probably not the one that it's going to be the most complicated. So we'll save the most complicated one for a second. Now, in a custodial wallet, you think about this as the centralized bank that is today's banking system. And they're just new banks with new names, where it used to be like Bank ABC, now it's Coinbase. Honestly, they're acting as a securities, they're acting as a bank, they're acting as a centralized way for you to feel more comfortable buying, accessing, and storing crypto, and you do so for a fee. Do you have to go through them? Absolutely not. But interacting with a custodial will give you it will lessen some risk. It'll introduce you to different types of risk. We'll talk about that here in a second. But it'll lessen the direct risk. And and again, in exchange, you give a percent, and usually it's a transactional percent that's done on the specific transaction that you're running right then. It's not like a holding percent where you would, pay on how much you're holding.
So essentially, it's basically like a processing fee, or like if you were doing a wire transfer with the bank or whatever, and they have a set amount. But I guess in this case, it's more of a percentage or fractional based of the amount that you're working with, or whatever the crypto exchange is. They're going to essentially tax you for them being the custodial service, right?
Right. And they're going to tax you, of course, and they're going to do it in fiat, right? So they're going to do like, I don't, Captain, correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't like say, hey, you're buying $150 worth of XYZ, and XYZ costs $9.95. They're going to say, you're buying $100 worth of XYZ in fiat, and so we're going to charge you 2% on that $100 of fiat. And fiat here in this circumstance, when anybody refers to fiat, just think about that as like, what's the best definition? I think about it that the centralized form, but I know that there's a better definition, like
the easiest way is
standard currency, dollars, standard currency.
Just because the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency at the moment, and so it is the most fiat of all fiats. But Yeah, anytime you're doing that, basically just referring to US to whatever country you're in, their current currency.
Right.
And the way the fees work, generally, it depends on the platform you're on. But it will be okay. You put in an order. You want this many coins at this price. They will set up that as the main body of your price point, and then they'll tack on what it depends on the structure. Sometimes it'll be a flat fee. It'll be like a $3.99 transfer or transaction fee, or it'll be a percentage based fee.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll just kind of tack that on top. They'll show you the total $100 or $103.29, whatever the fuck, and you get your $100 of coin at that time, which will then proceed to change price. But I digress.
But yeah, I think at the root of it, they're going to essentially fee you or tax you in USD if whatever
Yes.
you're buying it in.
Absolutely.
Right. Specifically whatever you're buying it in if you're not from the United States. You'll hear us say that a lot. We'll do our best to make sure that we're being as worldly as possible. If you ever need us to translate it into something that may make more sense for you, just let me know where you're from and maybe we can do that a little bit better. So you're going to hear the term not your excuse me. No, that's not the term. Is it not your seed phrase, not your crypto, not your password, not your crypto, not your seed phrase, not your crypto?
No, not your keys, not your coins.
Not your keys, not your coins. We're not giving them a very good version of this. Is it really not your keys, not your coins?
That's what I've always been told is not your keys, not your coins. And what that's referring to is the seed phrase that we were talking about earlier, the secret passphrase and or your private key, which is what allows you to interact with the network and verify the transactions that are happening based on your account.
They own it. And keep in mind that as Captain and I talked about the other day in our little podcast or whatever, that they can change it too. What was it? I don't remember what it was.
The real thing here that you need to know about working with a custodial system like Coinbase or Exchange is that it is a debit system. You are not in full control of those coins. Yes, you can make interactions with that debit system just the same as ways you would with a bank or anything else that is a debit system. But should they decide that you are not the right person, they can roll back any of those transactions that you've done. They can change the values of whatever's in your account, just like a bank can. It's all the exact same operations that's using a normal bank.
Yeah, which is why when I said earlier that it induces another risk, that's pretty much what I meant.
That's your risk.
The risk is that the company themselves.
Like non-custodial is better than custodial because even though everything's risky, you don't have to worry about waking up one day and somebody arbitrarily having made changes or shifts in your account because of some ridiculous thing that they saw or something crazy of that
something
nature.
In their policy. And yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
And you're not going to pay those direct fees. You'll pay gas. And those you'll pay fees to write transactions to the blockchain whenever you're interacting with the blockchain with your wallet through a non-custodial wallet. But you're not going to pay like those 3% fees to the to the centralized exchange because the exchange won't be there. That's correct.
So with a non-custodial, you only have to worry about the gas when it comes time for you to make your transactions, or are there other
That's correct.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Yep. Okay, thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah, your only interaction is with the network itself. You are not interacting with a third-party vendor of any kind.
And that's the fun. That's again kind of a big selling point for a lot of people. Is you're not having to worry about any third party, even a centralized exchange.
So OpenSea is not a third party. It's just like a platform.
Oh, they are.
Okay, they are. Okay, I guess you guys are going to explain that in more detail then, because I still haven't quite got a handle on who is a third party and how there are, I guess, more direct exchanges, or if you will always have to go through some other platform or third party system in order to get access to the blockchain or in order to make transactions on the blockchain. So I'm just trying to get an understanding on how that actually comes into play.
Just a top level down real quick, I would say, I'm trying to think of the quickest way to answer that.
I kind of lost what the question was in my own reading of other things. What was the question?
No, it's okay. So I was just trying to get an understanding on how it works as far as OpenSea is a third party,
Right.
I guess,
Okay, I got
platform or
it.
service. And I'm
I think
like,
I
how
can.
do you get like direct exchanges, or do you always have to go through some third party type of system in order to do blockchain or to access the blockchain in order to get your NFTs out there and things of that nature? So I was just trying to
Okay,
understand.
I'm with
I
you.
see.
It comes down to contract. It comes down to the contract. So,
I mean,
like, if you can write your own contract, there's nothing to stop you from writing a transaction to that blockchain. If you can write your own contract, there's literally nothing stopping you. So I guess, wouldn't it come down to the contract? Because so a central market, like a marketplace, is an exchange in some ways. Now, it might not be a bank exchange. It might not like take your money in exchange for buying a coin, but it is taking your money in exchange for buying a token. And whatever type of money that is, you could be paying for it in ETH, or you could be paying for it in with Polygon over there in OpenSea. And essentially, what these marketplaces give normal people is the access to create these smart contracts without having to do anything, without having to know how to create these smart contracts, and display and sell. It gives them the UI, the operating system, the software, essentially, to display and sell and buy NFTs. So it's more of a marketplace of of these things than anything. I'm so sorry. I've got like bad allergies today.
That's okay. So I want to make sure that I'm following that correctly. So basically,
Okay.
if you yourself know how to create a smart contract, which I've seen all kinds of things on YouTube about smart contracts and making your own, which I think is tantamount to sitting around coding all day, if I'm not mistaken. But
literally all
you
it is.
can. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you
Lots of
can
coding.
code Okay, great. You can code a smart contract yourself, or
Mhm.
you can use a third party platform like OpenSea. So where my
Right.
question, I guess, now comes in is, if you yourself take the time to code your own smart contract, don't you still have to utilize the third party in order for it to get connected to the blockchain and for you to start making exchanges? Like, I feel like no matter what you you don't. Okay,
Nope.
Okay.
explain.
No
I am
third
all
party.
ears.
Can I take this
It's
one for a sec,
all in the
Lisa?
coding. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So where you're getting pretty mixed up here is the concept of what you're trying to do. What you're attempting to do, from my understanding, is let's say you have created an NFT piece of art. You haven't put it on the chain or anything like that, but you wanted to get it out there. And so
Mhm.
what you're looking at here is that you've got places like OpenSea is a marketplace. That is all it is. They're providing a place for you to post things. And when you interact with them, they do have most of their interactions happening on chain, and they are capable of providing you the tools that you need to create a quick, NFT smart contract. However, if you want to, you can go through and you can write all of that stuff yourself, create your own website, and post your own NFTs there, allowing other people to bring, their self to your website, and then you would actually interact in the exact same way with your own website. You would then be the third party at that point, taking the place of OpenSea, because OpenSea is just providing you a website to do these things on and the tools to interact with it in a convenient way. If you go through, and this is what I'm doing right now, is if I go through and I build my own website, I write in the tools on the website itself to interact with the blockchain. People can make all their transactions just right there in front of you. Really, what you need to be thinking about this is your wallet and your self-sovereign ability to hold that is just like the one you have in your pocket. It's just like holding cash. So if you walk up to somebody else and say, I would like to make a transaction with you, and they agree, you guys swap your identification, whatever, and send a transaction, it goes straight from your wallet to their wallet. There's no interaction of a third party or like a DEX, a centralized exchange, or a decentralized exchange, or a place like OpenSea. You can do it right then and there, and you can do that with anything, including your NFTs. The NFT is just a token stored on the chain that you have access to control with your wallet. Bam.
So basically, if my current web page, or I go through, because I use the Bluehost, if I were to sit down with someone to work the back end of the coding for my web page, essentially I could sponsor my own NFTs from the web page I currently already have,
Yeah.
or commission or create a new web page just to have my NFTs
Yes.
there, and I don't even have to worry about OpenSea or any of the
Absolutely.
other marketplaces.
Right.
Because I'm the
Yes.
marketplace. Wow. Okay,
Right.
great.
You're the marketplace.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just like any other form of web commerce. You know, if you just
Mhm.
make your own e-commerce site, and what you're selling now is NFTs, and how people pay is with, you know, digital
Crypto.
asset of whichever you choose.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And that comes down to, well, I mean, we won't get into accepting, I think, crypto at this stage, because there's a lot of different blockchains. And I think that can get a little bit confusing for
So
people when they're like, which blockchain should I write this contract for? Or where should
That was
I,
another question I was wondering.
where should I put where should I sell my NFT? You know, what crypto should I accept when I'm selling my NFT? Yeah, those are a lot of really good questions. It gets a little more convoluted, but if we can write those down, I can definitely I could just host something that's specific to that, or maybe there's enough time at the end I could like go over it.
You're also all totally welcome to DM me, and we can chat about this off air at any point in time. I'm always around.
NFT.
Okay, great. Because I will definitely be asking questions. Because I already wrote some down. I was like, I didn't want to ask too many and get derailed from the actual topic, because there's so much
No worries.
to learn.
I have so on the For Women by Women TikTok are some videos that kind of talk about this, but what I could do is just post. I might even have the videos local that I could post into here, because they may not have made it in here at any point. But it's like how to choose, an NFT marketplace, how to like there's kind of like some other stuff there. I would say it may not be specific to what you specifically want, but there is some information there as well.
Yeah, it
But
sounds like it's on point. Like, I'm trying to get as much
so
baseline information as possible. So this is great.
so just to review those questions, it was like what marketplace and why, what blockchain and why.
The entirety of our whiteboard conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
What marketplace and why? What blockchain and why? What crypto and why?
Yep.
Because I could have a blockchain and have a different token, a different crypto. So I could have a crypto on top of a blockchain. So these are all decisions that I need to make when selling. Just from a broad point of view, the biggest.
Could you explain that? You said you could have a crypto on top of a blockchain?
Yes. So to give you an example, Ethereum is a blockchain, and it's also a token. But there are other cryptos that are written on top of the Ethereum blockchain. So they're essentially creating their own token and then having an exchange between the two. Did I explain that right, Captain Waffles?
So
I don't know if I did.
Taking a step back and working on vocabulary is definitely very important in this.
Please.
Like general vicinity of conversation. And I try and keep this very, very clean between talking about what is a cryptocurrency, what is a digital asset, what is a token, using the term token versus cryptocurrency is very important when you are dealing especially with layer 2 and anything like what is on Ethereum. So Ethereum network, its native token is ETH, which is Ethereum. Okay, it is used to pay for any kind of interaction that happens with that network. On top of that network, you can write out using smart contracts tokens of any kind. They can do anything. Every NFT is a token. And so you can take that and say, all right, I made this token. There's 10,000 of them. They're on Ethereum. And you can then distribute those tokens as you see fit, as your contract is written. Code is law, law is code, etc. You can't break what the contract says after it's been written to the blockchain. And so tokens are basically what you're normally referring to as a cryptocurrency. They have value. You can trade them. They are fungible. Cryptocurrencies, however, are specific blockchains like Bitcoin specifically that are designed as a form of money. A token doesn't necessarily have to be a form of money. It can be, a point score system or something like that, or an NFT, or it can literally be a deed to a house, something like that. But, more in the realm of a trading card. Yes, you can give it value if that is your goal, but it does not have to be. And so that's why I bring up the term like digital asset, because just because it is a token on a network doesn't mean that it necessarily has a dollar value, though most of them do. So tokens are generally coins on top of another network. So an ERC20 is the contract that is used. It's very, very broadly used. And so a lot of tokens like GRT, which is the graph, it's available on Coinbase. It is something you can buy as an asset there, is actually a token on top of the Ethereum network. So it is using Ethereum's network to process all of its transactions on chain. So it can't exist without Ethereum. Does that help?
So basically, and I think so. I think I got it, but I'm gonna run it back to make sure that I did.
I'm a little ADHD right now.
No, that's okay. I'm right there with you. So when you have a token, a token is not essentially always going to be currency. It's just kind of like a placeholder to say, here's this item, because it might have value, it might not. Like you said, it could be a deed to a house, or it could just be something that you've created and that you've given specifications to, so that if you give out so many tokens, maybe somebody can either do something more with it, or it will, my brain's going Tamagotchi. They can take care of the token or do something of that nature with it, but it doesn't necessarily state that because it's a token that it has a value. But if you're talking coin, you can have Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then somebody can come in on top of those things and create their own token that runs on the system, may or may not have value, but is available through that chain. And if you don't have that chain that you ran it on top of, like if someone from your example used ETH, for instance, and put something on top of that, if ETH were to disappear, then that token or that
it's gone.
Base that they created is also going to disappear.
That's right.
Great. I just want to make sure.
They're the new kind of like third parties, but in a lot of ways they're going to create value because they're going to provide services that are going to be needed for all of this infrastructure to take place. So will there be third parties in the future? Yeah. And these are kind of like them. And so each of them are going to pop up and be providing different types of value for the system. Some NFTs may intentionally be to just crowdsource money. So essentially you may go into that knowing that token is essentially a zero value token. You may not even want to get money out of that token.
So it could almost be like if someone were to create whatever it is, a product, a service, or whatnot, and they want to use ETH as their base, it's almost like they're using a fraction of ETH. Like it's not even its own thing. Ethereum has its own amount, and then whatever it is that you're putting on top of it, because you're creating an amount. I'm wondering if it's even connected to ETH at all, or if it is its
Its
own
value is
separate
not.
thing. Okay, the
Yeah.
value is not ETH. It's just
Yeah.
running on the ETH program.
Exactly. Ethereum
Okay,
is,
got
is
it.
But and there are
literally like the road that this thing is working on. So it's a car driving down the road is the token. The token is the car. Ethereum itself is the road.
So is there a Bitcoin road, or it's just right now the main road that everybody is using currently for most of the transactions is ETH?
it's ETH because ETH has people have built more on top of ETH to allow this type of infrastructure to happen. Kind of like what I was just saying. For example, like OpenSea built OpenSea on ETH, right? So and then they added Polygon. So everything that they did transactionally up until they added when they added Polygon was ETH. So you're going to see a lot of companies that don't want to build on multiple different types of blockchains, and so they may just pick ETH because it's early and it's the bigger one right now.
Exactly.
That's why that
I will
might
tell you
choose
this
ETH.
conversation is educational, but it is also making me regret the fact that someone had told me about Ethereum a while ago, like a year or two ago, and I did not go ahead and invest it. I'm like, wait, what is it?
Still invest. Oh no, don't worry. It's I mean, it's been higher than it is now, and it will get higher than it is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
very
Now,
early still. Don't worry.
There's some, you know,
Okay,
there's
good.
some, they're trying to move from a proof of work blockchain to a proof of stake blockchain.
Trying.
That is a little bit of a ruckus. And I believe if they don't do that correctly or early enough, that could mean doom for ETH. However, that's in the future. We're talking like 3 years. We're talking like 3 years. So what I think is going to happen is people are still going to run and develop on ETH and do business on ETH. But yeah, but I think that its value may be different in the future. Its value may be on how they use it for business and consumer rather than just the regular person trying to make transactions across a blockchain. It's just what is the future of it going to look like? And I think that's the tough part to know.
Okay. I could see that. It's like trying to predict the trend on it. And I think we talked about this last time that crypto is so new that even though there are, I guess, research and trends that have happened in the past, because it's in its infancy, it's kind of difficult to predict where it's going to land. And so everybody's just kind
Right.
of watching it bit by bit, but also with optimism and creating new functionalities and things. So it's still growing. We still haven't
Right.
even, I guess, seen its peak yet. It's
Oh
literally just
no.
getting the
Let
ball
me
rolling.
let me show you something. Let me show you something real quick. You guys maybe this is I always like to blow people's minds with this because this is so I've tried to like look at this chart that I'm going to show you and like prove it wrong, but I have not been able to yet. So hold on. Again. Get a bigger version of it. Open image, a new tab. Okay, and let me come back to this, and I got to make sure I'm sharing the right thing. I'm gonna stop screen sharing, and I'm gonna start screen sharing another screen real quick, and I'll share this link. Yes. Okay.
Hype cycle.
I'm a huge fan of the hype cycle. He knows I am.
Do you love hype cycles?
It's a hype cycle that I'm showing you is in some way, in some predictability about how people adopt to these technologies and when they're going to adopt these technologies. For example, like where they are on the scale of adopting to these technologies. And then they also give kind of at the bottom on that axis, they give explanations of the types of like phases people go through when they go through these different types of methodologies. when we have new technology, for example, the first phase is innovation trigger, meaning it's happening. It just happened. A reason for its existence has been created. And then you go to the peak of inflated expectations. That actually happens pretty early because expectations are inflated. So you're going to see these are going to be large trends in what people are saying and thinking about NFTs and crypto and blockchain. So this chart, for example, you're going to see NFT here at the top. It's at the peak of inflated expectations, but look at all the other area that we have to go. Is this an exact thing about where we are in the adoption of all of these technologies? I wouldn't say maybe it's exact. I think that peak of inflated expectations, in my opinion, is like too high on that scale. However, do I think that we're like 3 to 5 years out still from NFTs being what do they call it? What do they call it? Mass market. I do. I think we're still 3 to 5 years from NFTs being mass market. So when you think about it like that, anything that comes after that, it is really going to be all development on the business side of it, really, and not everything, but it's going to be a lot of business development that hasn't even started yet. So when I say you're early, you're like super, super early. Let me share this this link with you, and I'll stop sharing this.
Awesome.
Any questions on this in particular?
You know what? I'm going to ask one. Is it possible, or, I mean, I know anything's possible, but I noticed at the bottom it said obsolete before plateau. And with the way that NFTs, with the buzz they have, I don't think this is possible, but is it foreseeable that it could essentially become obsolete before it ever completes this cycle?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And I say that because the expansion of what it is to be an NFT is going to get bigger, and we're just seeing the beginning of it. For example, you just saw the first sale of an apartment or a house in Florida through an NFT. And what they did was that they created an LLC and keeping. I mean, I guess the best way to think about NFTs is they're a smart contract. That's it. And if you think about it from the perspective of the NFT as a smart contract, anything you do outside of that will make sense. For example, if I'm selling a digital asset through as an NFT, I have the digital asset and its respective thing, and the NFT is the smart contract that we're actually making this transaction through, and we put that smart contract onto the blockchain. Then that transaction goes through, and one side gets proof that they have ownership over that contract, and then they can sell that contract to anybody else. So if you think about it like that, there are so many ways that you can actually use these contracts. And so I do not believe that it's going to phase out at any point. I think people are going to continuously find different ways to use it. And I think it's going to almost be like I think it's laying the foundation for all sorts of different types of, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Come up with. And for example, so I actually was talking with one of the Stargaze Cosm Wasm devs, and I told him what my idea was, and he's like, this is why we build these things, so that people like you can come and find these ridiculous and amazing reasons to use them, ways that they are going to be useful. And for example, one of mine is basically proving the ownership of a physical art print. So that's just one little thing, and there's going to be 1,000 of them.
I thought there were already, I guess, measures to validate the authenticity of certain assets, especially when you're talking artwork. Like I know they tell artists to like make a seal or register for your artwork to verify its authenticity, but you're saying that you're possibly working towards a a blockchain contract that or program that will
Yeah.
authenticate art pieces or
the real important part is pulling out the
anything.
middleman in that situation.
Okay.
So you're having to go through a service and register with them, and they then agree with whoever has this piece. They're like, yes, this is in fact the correct piece. They are authenticating the veracity of their claim. In my case, and I literally am working on this like last night. I just started kind of fiddling with the tech itself. I'm working on a system that allows you to take your phone and scan the piece of art. The piece of art will have a piece of tech in it that responds and provides you the verification that is linked to the NFT. And so when you pull up that NFT or it pulls it up from that tech, you'll see, okay, yes, this is the right piece of art, and this is the code series that piece of art should respond with or provide to you to verify that it is the original. And that's something I'm working very, very hard on is making sure that there's no way that people can argue with, okay, it gave you the wrong code. That's not the right piece of art, or somebody duplicated my
They
art.
can switch that. They can switch that too easily.
Exactly.
Getting into the physical is a whole different world. But
Exactly.
yeah, I'm with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's not. I don't know if we can
So
go there because that just brings a whole other layer of complexity.
it sounds
He's
like it's
saying
like
that
a
I think
QR
because
code
he's
for the artwork,
at
like a
the
QR
edge.
code
Yes.
for,
Makes it more
people to be able to
complicated.
say, this is it.
Yes.
Yeah.
He making it more
Yes.
Yeah. He's definitely on the
More
edge
secure.
of it. He's like, oh, you want to see living on the edge? Yeah, well, check this out. I'm doing stuff that's not even being done. You know what? I think that's really cool. You know what? Expose them to it because who knows? Maybe they'll get inspired by something, and
Yeah. You never
who
know.
knows?
It's definitely inspirational because it's like, wow, it's an application that I had not heard of to this point, and I think is probably going to be revolutionary when you're talking about this kind of thing, because one of the things that you were saying earlier was, or the last time we spoke, was that security is a big thing. And if someone has the ability to validate that this is in fact the right thing in the virtual space, that in and of itself is essentially you're marketing security to people in this
Yes.
process, and it's
Yes.
all sorts of risks. So I think it's awesome, and I didn't even consider that as a pain point. So kudos to you, and keep going, because I really want to see how that turns
Thank
out,
you.
because I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm very
You're
excited about
welcome.
it.
Cool. Before I move on, I don't want to forget to give you all that link. I'll put it in the main lounge. So I will forget. Do.
Me too.
Here. It's and what's cool about this particular link that I'm going to send you is it also lays out the foundation of 3 things that I would believe are going to be really important. It says in 2021, but they're going into 2022 because they still are. This is, and it says engineering trust, accelerating growth, and sculpting change. And trust is going to become so important, or is important, but there are yet to be tools that are built that are going to develop extra layers of trust between people. Not that the blockchain isn't. The blockchain is just a ledger, an immutable ledger, right? But I think building trust is still going to be something that's going to be widely needed. Especially in NFT projects, because people think that NFT projects are like taking the money and running away with it. And I think people have to consider like a project. If you want people to invest in that project for your NFT and consider the NFT to be something that they're like gonna get money from, then you need to treat it like an asset. You need to treat whatever your what just happened? Oh, you're gonna need to treat. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry about all that. You're going to need to treat it like an asset and sell it like an asset and market it like an asset and invest into it like an asset. You can't just run away with the money. Like that's kind of how you have to, or if you're going to use it to, get money from a group of people with the assumption that they know that that's going to be money that you take from that token, and then that token that they don't really see value in that token, or they may not see value for a long time in that token, well, then that's just what you need to tell them. I mean, that's just kind of, that's more freedom on your part too, but it's more responsibility. And if people aren't saying that as NFT owners, if they're not being like truthful to people about what the effort level that they're going to put into their NFT, well, then that NFT could very well drop value, and then who cares about it?
Happens a lot.
It sounds like ethical business practices
Right.
are still very much at play. And I know that there's a risk for like scams or scammers in all of this, but ultimately, as the entrepreneur, to put yourself out there, you need to be working under the guise of brick and mortar practices to a certain degree until kind of, I guess, more people are secure in this crypto NFT space, and so that you can solidify your base in it as well, so that you can have a, I guess, successful run with, your business or whatever NFT project that you're putting out.
Right. It's the same thing as like, let's say you're built. Yeah, exactly. Like brick and mortar is a good thing because you're building something, you're building a community, and you can't go into like a brick and mortar store and take all of the money from your neighbors that live in that community and just run away. Like you're never going to have a business for a very long time. Right. So if you see it as building trust between you and whoever your buyers are, building community, those are two huge things that are becoming very, very important to people, because they're seeing that they don't want to get taken. They want to invest. Truly, you have a lot of people out here that want to invest in artists that they want to see develop and grow and have no expectation of that money coming back. And then you have other people that really just want to see this as an asset. So you also know how kind of have to think about how you want to enter the market as well, if you're selling, I guess, so to say.
So are there more just retail transactions, or would you say investment transactions seems to kind of be the space that NFT is sitting in right now?
NFT is going to be anything that you can exchange through a smart contract. And so you're seeing a lot of it in digital art because it's just logically the easiest thing for people to move into, because it's like, okay, I have this piece of art, I sell it, I get this piece of art. There's not a lot of licensing in it. It doesn't get super complicated. Like in a real form event, art should be just like a one-to-one piece, and it's not that anymore. But it was the easiest concept, I think, for people to start in art with NFTs. But now it's going to continue to move outward. So anything that you could like put into a smart contract and is transferable amongst parties.
So my understanding is like
sounds so broad, but it is.
No, I get it. It's just I'm wondering the applications, because I've heard of like people in the music industry using NFTs, and I'm like, okay, well, how does this apply? Like, how can you? Because I get it with the artist space. It's like, okay, here's the contract, and then there's this solid piece of art. But it's like, okay, here's the contract, and here's my podcast, or here's the contract, and here is this song that I made. Like, I'm just trying to conceptualize how that comes into play in this space, and it's just a little daunting for me at the moment.
Well, you're not alone. I mean, it's a lot to think about, because when your mind starts kind of enveloping what can be, it gets crazy, because you realize it can be and it isn't yet, or it is kind of yet and it's about to explode. And so you're not alone. It gets pretty wild when you start.
So we're like at the precipice of so much expansion.
Yes.
And none of us really knows how to get it out there yet. We're all kind of baby stepping it, like, okay, try this.
Yeah, if anybody tells you like they're a super expert or whatever, I don't care what they say. This space moves so fast that you almost have to have your wits about you every day, every single day, and look at the changing technologies every day. I mean, if you want, if you're really that person that says they're the expert, like, I guess what I'm saying is people can become really knowledgeable, but expertise is almost impossible right now. There's just too much happening and being developed at the same time. Like for any one person to say they're an expert, it's like, you're really an expert over all of those technologies and all those coding languages and all of those methodologies. No, so I guess, yeah, it's just, you're not alone. And the fact that, and I kind of tell people too, is when you start learning about it, like what are the applications, I would even sit down and just Google what are the possible future applications for NFT? What are the possible future applications for blockchain? What are the industry application uses for blockchain? What are the industry because there's going to be people out there that have already publicly written up lists of potentials, because that's how they get people, there's lots of articles out there, but don't hesitate to Google that type of stuff, because while we may not know for certain, there's a lot of people out there speculating. And are they all right? No, but I've seen some pretty good speculators out there. Not that they kind of foresee, at least there's a pattern here that we could follow,
Cool. Okay. It's kind of over. It's like, yay, this is awesome and exciting, but wow, this is a lot. And for someone with ADHD brain, I'm like, this is a lot for me. This must really be a lot.
That's why I really encourage people to understand the core concepts as things that are familiar to them in a lot of ways. So, smart contract, NFT, blockchain is a ledger. Because conceptually, if you start using those words instead, things just make a lot more sense, because we're using NFTs and we're just using acronyms that just don't make a lot of sense. And I think they add more complexity than they do specificity. So, but that's just what it is. And to add layers on top of it, people are saying, let me show you my NFT. I mean, that's basically like me coming up to you and saying, hey, check out this contract that I've got.
Exactly.
No,
that was exactly what I heard when you said that.
It's like people kind of don't know what they're saying too. On top of this sort of complexity that's here, is like people are like, I'm gonna go shill my contract, when instead they should be saying, look at my art, like check out my digital art. I'm selling my digital art as an NFT, or I'm selling my XYZ as an NFT. That's really how it should be, rather than I'm selling NFTs.
Like this is so informative, and thank you guys for even doing this, because I think that the clarification in and of itself, like how you reiterate, it's a smart contract, because as you're talking, I'm hearing, okay, I have a contract for this. Here's my work. You want to buy it? Cool. Do you also want the contract? Like almost like you can sell them, like you could sell someone the artwork, but you could almost sell someone else the contract to it, because the other person didn't really care about the full ownership. They just wanted the piece, but they don't mind someone else having the ownership. Maybe not art, but for other applications. That's kind of what it sounds like, if someone is really being mindful of the correct terminology, because the NFT is not the asset. It is just a contract.
Right. And so the same thing is if you show up at a an art gallery and you buy a piece of art. I mean, are you going to walk out of there and be like, thanks for the contract, and leave the painting? You're not going to do that. And you're not going to do that in the digital world either. So as long as we think about it in more realistic terms, I think it makes a lot more sense. You're going to take custody over that painting, whatever it may be, over that digital asset, over that whatever it may be. So let's take that house, for example, that they sold as an NFT, because I think this is a good example. They created an LLC, so they created a business, and that business could essentially be sold. And they wrote that business into the contract and then sold that business. So upon selling of that NFT, that guy didn't walk away and be like, look at my NFT. He walked away with a business. So he needs to get the transfer and take custody over that asset. So it's more than just there are going to be real tangible assets sometimes on the other end of it. Now let's take an NFT, for example. Some people, you're right, they don't really care about like the picture. They like maybe having the smaller version. They don't need like the greatest version, and anybody can go download it. But the person that owns the contract for that specific one is the person that can sell the contract. Therefore, they're the only ones that can make money on that contract. But you're right. You do have people out there that are like, I would rather just buy and sell these contracts for this art than care about the art or whatever it may be. Same thing like that you have, I guess, in the art world. You just have people that are just in the art world buying and exchanging that stuff just because they know that it's creating value, maybe scarcity, just something like that.
Cool. That's what I was hearing, but I just wanted clarification to make sure that I wasn't adding more into it. Like I know there's a lot that can be done or that has yet to be done, but wanted to make sure that my conceptual understanding of smart contracts and assets and tokens and how they all correlate was on point. That was the main thing.
I mean,
So thanks.
from everything I've heard, you've completely followed us. I mean, so yeah,
Okay, great.
no, you've done a great job of asking great questions that have helped me understand kind of how you've learned through it as well. So no, that's been great. Sheba, I want to check in on you. I know that we've been blabbing a lot. How are you doing? Might not be around. We've been chatting for a long time.
I'm around. Sorry.
Oh, you're okay.
I'm around. So I've been multitasking.
Oh, neat. Well, at least hopefully it was useful for you while you were multitasking.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like what you said, it seems like it's still a lot of things still have to be learned about the NFT and the applications of it. I'm very interested to see how it's going to evolve because everyone seems to be going into it right now, but there's not, I mean, there are some that seems to have a good path on like the projects that we've seen so far, but some of them still kind of on a trial and base and trying to figure out what to do with it.
I see that a lot.
Yes. Yep.
Right.
All day, every
Yeah.
day.
So it's
Yep.
right. And you see so many different of them and kind of like, you try to get into it. And then, but after some time, you're like, wait a minute, this is like a lot to read and it's so much information. And you really have to spend a lot of time. It can be like a whole full-time job just to try to.
It literally is. It's
Yeah,
literally
it literally can be.
Right.
But I would say that people, it tends to come through a sense of passion and almost awe at what can be and what can happen. And I think that's where I'm at least. Captain Waffles, I don't know where you're at, but I'm in literal awe of what can be in the future. Like almost like I can see it potentially what could happen, and I want to just see it. I want to kind of be here for it. And then knowing more, I think helps because you kind of want to learn. You're like, oh, that's really neat. What are the uses of that? And then you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I think some of it will feel forced, and then some of it will feel natural. But I would say focus on the thing that you like, maybe, and then get into it that way, because that way at least it's something more personal to you. So,
Right.
And by the way, there's a ton of different types of markets for NFTs. And some of them are very specific on what type of art or whatever type of digital asset they focus on, whatever it might be. Some sell cards or whatever, and whatever blockchain. Some of them only work with specific blockchains.
Right.
So just look to see, okay, what is the market? What blockchain is that market using? And that type of stuff.
Yeah, right now, I mean, I'm still more focused on the Cosmo, which is the Stargaze.
That's why you're here,
Captain. That's how you guys. Okay, I get it now. It all makes perfect sense.
And that's when I started to realize, I didn't even know there's Omniflix, and I didn't even know there's like other things.
I keep getting deeper in there. Omniflix and there's Juno Swap and Marble and Secret and oh god, I thought that I was deep when I got to Osmosis, and I just keep going.
Yeah. What are these? What are these?
So this is
I don't know what these are.
I've been talking to you about. Wait, is that Lisa asking or somebody else?
It's Exy. It's Exy.
Sorry, Exy.
And so tell her what a DEX is too.
So a DEX is a decentralized exchange, and decentralized exchanges, by definition, do not have the oversight of a central committee. Yes, there's going to be a dev team that is capable of working with it, but anything that happens there is only ever changed after a community vote. And we literally use our coins as vote power. And so what we can do there is outside the purview of any government or jurisdiction of any kind, because we're not regulated. There's no regulation whatsoever because it's a piece of software that is running on its own using a blockchain as its laws. And so you can do all sorts of things there, like DeFi or anything like that. So Pancake Swap would be a decentralized DeFi exchange. Osmosis is the one we use. I'm trying to think of other good dexes that are around. I know there was one. There was a dex specifically for Doge where you could really only swap Doge, Litecoin, Bitcoin, and ETH. And they kind of pop up, but they're run by a protocol. They are not run by a group of people or an organization.
So essentially, someone or some group sets up the software or the program, and then it runs based off of the coding laws that were enabled inside of it.
Correct.
And no one has to maintain it or operate it. It's just running whatever programmed algorithm that it's running so that you can operate your exchanges.
And it happens all on chain. So it all operates within that network that, whichever one they set up. So all those nodes are
so like
are verifying
ETH
transactions.
or
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. I just want to make sure I got it. It's like, wait, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Wow. Again, so much information.
It's a whole new world.
Wild.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Well, cool. Did you guys want me to go through the rest of this, or what were your thoughts?
I'm here for more. I'm
Okay.
down for so much info. So whatever you want to give.
I'll at least get through my little my document here. And I think we've learned a lot, and I think you guys are probably past some of this, so I may not even need to spend a lot of time on it. But let's get started and let's see how it goes. All right. So as far as now, so we just kind of stopped talking about what the non-custodial or what the custodial is. We started talking about it. Let's finish talking about that.
Yes.
So the security key and your storage of your crypto are managed by that centralized exchange. So they have custody over your essentially your assets, your contracts, the proof that you own any of it really is in their hands. And then they give you an allotted amount. Now, I think we were talking about earlier that some of those transactions aren't even written to the blockchain. So that's a whole thing with the centralized exchanges that might become an issue. And I don't know, but just keep in mind that so you don't need to use a centralized exchange. If you do, which is fine, a lot of people want to because they don't want to take the extra risks and they would rather just do it that way, and that's absolutely fine. I would say, whatever you do, there cannot be any harm in going into Coinbase and getting their $50 worth of free crypto or whatever it is on one of your accounts. I mean, there's literally no harm in doing that, and that will at least teach you about a couple of the blockchains, and you'll get free crypto in the meantime. And I encourage people to do that, even if it's just a fake account. I don't care. Just
it's
get
all
the
worth
crypto.
Doing. And it's
it's
all
early
education.
on. You never know who it could be, where it could be worth in 2 to 3 years. We just don't know yet.
And it definitely has its role in the ecosystem. And for me, and what I encourage people to use it as is a way to bridge the gap between crypto and fiat. And it literally is what we call
normal
on ramp, on and off ramp in this case, because you can still take your crypto, exchange it for your fiat, and then send it to your bank account like any other system of banking.
Right.
Wait. I have to ask this question now. So are you saying that Coinbase is giving free crypto in whatever valuation for setting up an account?
They have a bunch of tools that they encourage you to go through as an educational method.
Learn.
Their learn stuff. They'll be like, all right, $5 in this coin, $5 in this coin, just for clicking through it and learning what the coin is, because they're trying to encourage you to proceed further into the whole ecosystem, and they get value from that. It's very similar to
okay. So they're giving you incremental bits or basically fractions of coins to kind of get you started.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
I was thinking ETH, so $5 of ETH is probably a fraction of the value of ETH. Last time I looked, I think it was
Yeah, absolutely.
$400 or $4,000 for it.
It's like 3,000 something right now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. But I mean, if you get a
It's
coin that's worth
something.
less, you may get a handful of coins. I mean, if they're offering GRT or Doge or something, you're gonna get 50 Doge or something just for that $5 value. So I
Oh,
mean,
okay, cool.
it's worth doing. Take a look through there. You'll learn things for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say we lose Lisa.
no, I was just like for
I'm
a second there, I
sorry.
was like, no, you're good. For a second there, I got like obsessed with like looking for, I don't know what happened, but I was like, I need to look at because I own this NFT that pays me out because they created a casino. And I was like, I'm so interested. Like, how much money do I have there underneath? So I went and looked. Sorry. Okay. So
That sounds like an interesting concept, a casino. And is it an NFT casino or is it like
no,
an
it's
Ethereum
like a
casino?
it's like a crypto casino in a way. You just wager with crypto more than anything, and then it's just like all these people that play these online games. It's just an online game platform that allows you to play some casino games and some standard games and some card games, and you can wager real money. Now you can't do it in the U.S., but you can do it if you actually just go through a VPN or whatever. And so a lot of people are doing that, and a lot of people outside of the U.S. So they're essentially getting gamblers from all over the world. I don't care what they're doing. I have nothing to do with that. I just get the payout from the portion so I own one of their, I think it was like 7,777 NFTs, which is really not that much. I own one of them, and the hope is that over time it will passively pay itself back, and then hopefully get more than what I put into it. Maybe
Cool.
over time. That's kind of an investment that you put into it. It was an investment I put into this group in hopes, but it was a wager.
Sounds
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. So they sold, so I guess I did sell it as an NFT. So I invested in a casino as an NFT. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so down here at the bottom, because let's stay on the custodial track, because I did it first. I know that seems weird, but it's on the bottom. So again, that's going to be your centralized exchange. And examples of this are going to be Coinbase, Gemini, KuCoin, GoodRx. There's so many of them at this stage. And FTX, who is going to be the dominator over all of this. I think Binance is the present dominator. I don't know why I don't have them on here, but I just put up some examples to give you guys an idea of what some of the custodial products look like. It's going to seem weird that I have Coinbase in two places. So I'm going to go back up. I'm going to stop here and see, is there any actual questions on the custodial? Because I know we talked about that before. The questions. Do you have any questions on this? If not, I'm happy to move to the non-custodial. Okay. So, excuse me. Let's go ahead and move on to the non-custodial. So on this one, you are the bank. There is no third party. I think this is exciting for a lot of people and scary, but exciting. You own the security and the storage. When I say storage, that is really the storage of your seed phrase and information that is important as far as the transactions are concerned. Talk about like the hot and cold wallets and those types of wallets here in a minute, but it just gives you an idea of your ownership over all of it, basically. So you are your own bank teller. You're the person, you're the guard standing at the door. You are those people. And so I think once you understand that, which you all do, and you know your responsibilities, and you know how important it is to take those responsibilities seriously. And once you have good practices in place, I promise it's really not that bad. At first, you're like, wow, who are these people? How dare they take advantage of me? That'll happen at some point. Maybe you'll make a bad investment or maybe something. but you'll learn from it. But I will say there are some known good things that you can do to just kind of keep in mind what a good project is or what a good crypto is, and always make sure you research. I wouldn't dive into anything based off anybody's word. People get real hyped about things around here. Anyway, I took a step up sideways, but in the non-custodial, you have different types of wallets. You have hardware wallets, you have software wallets. I want to talk about the software because you're going to see this the most. What's this what? This is what people are going to use, and because it allows them the fastest exchange through these different types of transactions through these authenticators. So a couple examples of these is MetaMask and Trust Wallet and Coinbase Wallet. Now, I want to pause here because the Coinbase wallet, that's the differentiation between this one down here, the Coinbase down here. I don't even know if you can see my mouse, but the one that's down here on the bottom and under custodial, and the one that's up here is that the non-custodial one. You can't call Coinbase and be like, what happened to my blah, blah, blah. They don't care what happened in your wallet. They don't care. It's nothing to do with them. They're like, I don't know what you do to it. Like, you know, but if you call them up here, they may say, oh, well, let me look into that. But down here, they're going to be like, I don't care, because that they have they're two different products of the Coinbase like infrastructure, but their names are so similar that it's just so weird. This one's Coinbase Wallet, and this one's Coinbase. So Coinbase is the centralized exchange. As soon as you download the Coinbase wallet, and it specifically says wallet, that's not like an extra wallet on top of your Coinbase wallet. It is the actual non-custodial wallet that they have, product that they have right now. So I added that there because I wanted you all to see that it may start becoming a little confusing when the centralized exchanges start dipping their toes into, well, I say half of their body into these non-custodial. Like, I'm telling you right now, I bet you anything Coinbase is getting data. At the very least, they're getting data from from that Coinbase wallet.
Oh, I don't trust
And
it.
data is king, right? If they can get data from your wallet and they can make they can get an understanding of what all these people are doing with Coinbase wallet. Oh, duh, they're done. It's it. Like, you can basically see the demographics that you want to see, and you can see anything that you want to see in the market, like point blank. So yeah, if they're hoarding in on their data, I don't know, but I don't trust them. So I wouldn't do it for a non-custodial wallet. That's just me. I would say the most used one right now is MetaMask. It's a little iffy. It was bought out by Consensus, and Consensus is now like 35% owned by banks.
Yeah, I don't trust MetaMask very much anymore either. But
so it's actually, what I'm saying, it's just becoming centralized.
Yes.
And it's getting like, the banks are like, oh, I like that. Let me buy that. And MetaMask was like, I like the banks. And it got a little weird.
I like money. Yay.
I like money. Yeah. And so what is that going to look like in the future? I think you're going to see other wallets come through. I think Trust Wallet will end up developing itself a lot more. I just know that there's other wallets out there, but definitely do research to validate its,
veracity.
Yeah. Make sure that's security, I suppose.
Yes.
Security. All right. Now, these aren't actually equal. They aren't side by side. They don't like run side by side. That my infographic isn't super great here, but because software wallets are on the web, right? And hardware wallets are going to be something that either they would like, it's a physical hard drive or USB, or it's going to be something physical.
It'd be as simple
or
as
it's
your
going
piece of paper, honestly. Like either that or like a.
Oh no, we talk about that here and over here in the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. This really here is just for hardware and software wallets specifically. And I wanted to give example of like hardware wallets versus a software wallet. So we do have Ledger, Trezor, and SafePal are three examples of like hardware wallets. I think Ledger gets used the most, though. I know Trezor's coming out on them, and I think there's some other ones out there that are coming up to the scene. But those are the biggest ones that you're having for hardware. All right. So with that said, you are the main owner and facilitator of all of the transactions upon your account, and that would include any transfers of of any one currency to another, one token to or one coin to another. Pardon me. And so, with that said, I wanted to stop there and see if there's any questions about the difference between these two. I know we covered them rather extensively.
I don't have any questions
Okay.
about the differences. I do or am curious about I know you said software wallets are what people are looking at, and you guys were kind of giving the consensus that of what's available on the screen currently, that Trust Wallet is probably the one that isn't going to mess you over in the long run, considering the others are being backed by or touched by centralized banking as it stands today. So what I'm wondering is everyone just kind of waiting for new wallets, or they're just kind of popping up random? Like,
Oh no, they're
I don't
definitely popping up.
understand it.
You've got the Brave
Okay.
wallet. You've got like Brave Wallet, which is an integrated wallet in your browser, and I believe Brave actually might even pay you to browse. I don't know. I have to look into that. That sounds so interesting to me. There are people that are developing wallets. And so what you need to do is just look for wallets that are trusted. So
It
when I
depends on
say
the
trusted, that
ecosystem
would
you're
be,
working inside of, because like
yeah,
not every
that's
wallet
true
works with every single coin. It does need to be a supported wallet for that ecosystem,
for that ecosystem.
especially like
That's a really good way to put it.
yeah, especially for things like Cosmos ecosystem or the Ethereum ecosystem. Like MetaMask literally only covers Ethereum based projects and tokens. And so, like, yes, it's extremely useful, and there's a lot of things that happen on Ethereum, which is why it gets used so much. But it literally doesn't have any other use than just dealing with your Ethereum stuff. So you have to
Yeah.
get a different wallet. I've probably
It's-
got 15
I've-
wallets at any given time for
Yeah.
everything, just this, that, and the other
Got my
thing.
Uniswap wallet,
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
MetaMask wallet. Uniswap will have you'll be able to swap between a lot of different cryptos on Uniswap, but not every one of the cryptos.
Uniswap is also very, very Ethereum heavy.
It is.
What the fuck?
So a lot, I guess there is no
You
one
answered
great
one of my
answer.
questions already.
Okay,
Thank
I was
you.
going to say
Well-
there's no great
Well, no,
direct
my
answer because
next
it's changing
question-
so rapidly.
Right. My next question was going to be exactly what you said. It was like, oh, well, is there a wallet that you don't have to use, like a different set of wallets? And you were like, I have this Uni wallet, and I can do these and these and these.
Oh yeah.
I was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
You're definitely
like,
going to
what?
end up setting up a bunch of wallets. And I
Right.
actually encourage people to set up a bunch of wallets. Like, for example, I have one
Okay.
where I only transact on a portion of NFTs. Then I have, and then I only fund that wallet anytime I want to buy an NFT. I literally will fund up to like the moment that only within like a couple of dollars if I possibly can
Oh, hell yeah.
of what that NFT is. And then once I buy that NFT, I have proof that I own that NFT, and then I don't care. Like then it's like whatever, but I don't know if that helps describe that anymore. Okay, so let's
When you
let's go.
say that, you mean like you fund maybe like $5 or $10 over the NFT to ensure it's purchased, and then once
Yeah.
it's purchased, you don't worry about what's in your wallet?
Then I don't worry that any because I think the risks are always so high that somebody's going to write a contract or do something like maybe they'll write a contract into an NFT and I don't look at the contract well enough, and the contract states that it can siphon out of my account, and then the next thing I know, it's siphoning out some of my Ethereum because I hold Ethereum in the same wallets that I'm transacting all my NFTs in. And no, I will hold like the bulks of my monies in different places so that like even if somebody does hack into one of those accounts, like they can't get the rest of them. So you are going to run around with a bunch of different ones. And there are going to be some blockchains that may even require you to have a specific wallet. That could happen as well. Because that's just where we're at with the technology more than anything. The chaos comes with the technology being in such infancy.
Cool. Okay.
Like as things grow, you're going to see more central. Look, there is going to necessarily be some level of I hate to say it, but there is going to be some level of centralization for really strong products to come out, and for strong products to get enough funding to be really secure and that type of stuff, and which hopefully they're not being bought out by centralized exchanges. And I always watch for those types of things. And the second they start to do it, then I move my business, or I do whatever I need to do, because I don't need to, right? Like it's
right.
We have more of an option here as opposed to like what we would have had otherwise. So,
Gotcha.
Okay, let's see. All right, so last two. And we already talked about this really, so this isn't really going to be much different than what we've talked about. Let's talk about crypto keys. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more because there's some tiny little stuff down here, but we'll go over it. So again, you have your private key and your public key. Your private key is your seed phrase, and you just think about that as your password. It's your unique password. You'll never want to share this one, obviously. If any program ever prompts you to enter this, double, triple, like you have to know what's going on. I would say the only time I would ever enter this is if would it even do it? No, they actually don't even do this for account recovery. You have to go through a very specific process for account recovery. So even with account recovery, they're not going to be like, what's your passcode to recover your account? They're not even going to do that. So I would say I never even pull it out. It just sits somewhere else. And
you're referring to the private key or the public
yeah, my
key?
seed phrase, my seed phrase. Okay. Like I guess what I'm saying is, you never need to use your seed phrase after it's been created, and you validate it.
Unless you lose your phone or your wallet or something, what you do at that point is you pull up the same app which you created the wallet with, and then you will want to re-enter your seed phrase to recreate the access to the wallet. That's the only time you
only for that same exact wallet, and only after you've like re-downloaded it and for sure that it's the legitimate one. And yeah.
Okay.
So I say that because that's, I think, how a lot of people get tripped up, is they're like, oh no, I need to recover my account or something, let me enter in my seed phrase. And no, they're like MetaMask is going to be like, oh, look what happened. Something happened to your account. You can't log in. Like, no, I mean, I haven't ever seen that. Like that, it wouldn't, even then, there are steps that you'd have to take to make sure that you're validating that you're unlocking it with them, as opposed to like unlocking it, like giving your information to somebody else. So this one is going to be a 12, 18, or 24 word phrase. I've never seen 18 or 24. I've seen 18 actually, but I've never
24s.
seen. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. I bet you they're going to get more 24s out there, but because it'll be the highest level encryption. And again, you're not using it very often. It's not like you're running around with it. Or, I mean, if you do, you're going to want to put it in a cold wallet. We'll talk about that here in a second. But it's going to be words, like legitimate words, like pear, giraffe, baseball, those types of things. That's how you can differentiate your seed phrase from the public key, the thing you actually share, essentially the address of your wallet. That's how you could tell the difference. The address of your wallet is going to be numbers and letters. I'm going to zoom in real down here. It doesn't matter if you can't really see what the numbers and letters are. Just know that it is a series of numbers and letters all mushed together. That is your public address, and that's okay to share. You don't want to share your private key, which would be the combination of those words. And in the order of the words, obviously. That's important too. So make sure that you know the order of the words that it gave it to you in. So any questions about the difference between those? And you're welcome to share your public key publicly. Like I could confidently go paste my public key on Twitter and have no problem. You're going to see a lot of people do this. They're like, hey, paste your key for a chance to blah, blah, blah. Now, if you get like random stuff into your wallet and you don't know what it is, I would question that. I don't think I would touch it. It's not going to hurt anything, I think, being in there, but as long as you don't sell it, I think it'll be fine. But outside of that, I would say I wouldn't worry about it because that's how you're going to have to exchange. It's how you're going to have to make your transactions. That's your account number. And I share my account number with all sorts of, with people. Same. As long as they don't have my information. It's like I share my bank account information with all sorts of things. As long as they don't have my information, and they should have security process in place to validate that, they can't get access to my account, right? Because they're not me. I mean, that's typically it's how it should work, right? But in the centralized system, there are so many different third parties that you don't know who has access to that information. It's bad. Okay, so that is really all there is to do about private keys and public keys outside of like where you're storing them, which we'll talk about here in a second. Any questions here, Exy?
Good. I don't have any.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so the last thing is just understanding hot and cold, the terms, the wallets, what it means, and how it applies. So let's start with cold. And cold is anything that does not connect to the internet. Let's go to my little cheat sheet here. So cold here is any wallet that is not connected to the internet. And the reason that is because we think of any connection to a possible connection to a wallet to be hot. That means that adds additional risk where risk wouldn't be if it wouldn't be connected to the internet. That's literally what it means. So when something has the ability to connect to the internet or is connected to the internet, it becomes hot. And that's really all it is. So anytime you have like a pen and paper, that's cold. But we can also have cold hardware. Now, you're going to hear such thing as cold wallets. Let me give you a really old school example. I don't know if they're doing this anymore. They might be. But some people are even like stamping things onto an actual like piece of metal and then putting that metal, indestructible metal. Yeah, I guess they would. They put the indestructible metal inside their safe or whatever, in a strong box or whatever the case may be. Some people write it on a piece of paper. And when you have cold storage on hardware, that typically, it's hard to describe, but let me do my best and tell me if you have any questions. So let's say I have a Ledger hardware wallet, okay? And on that Ledger hardware wallet, Ledger has created an operating system that allows you to essentially create a whole other layer of interaction between your wallet and the outside world. And in one portion of that, behind all of that, could be a whole different separate storage for your seed phrases that is inaccessible by any portion of any point of that. Technically can be cold, even though it's on a hardware wallet. They can still have a cold portion on a hardware wallet that plugs in to a computer, but it gets a little hairy from there. I just kind of like to tell people about the cold storage and more of the frame of put it on a piece of paper or put it someplace that is like really, really, really safe that, can't get damaged, hurt, or lost or stolen. Anything you want to add to that, Waffles?
Any cold wallet can become hot given the right circumstances.
That's a good way to put it. Because as soon as somebody figures out how to hack the operating system for the Ledger,
literally just plug it in.
Yeah, and then they figure out how to get around Ledger's OS. So the safest method is literally the coldest method, which is the oldest method.
Old and
I feel
cold.
like this is turning in a really bad rap or something. I don't know. All right. Any questions about that, Exie?
I don't have any questions. It did sort of sound like a rap, but
It did.
it was a good one, and I think
you.
that's the best advice that I've heard so far, and it's the most consistent, which is when it comes to these seed phrases, cold wallets are going to be your best bet if security is your concern.
Yeah, I have to. So, pardon me to put this way. I have to get my ass up and walk someplace and get frustrated by this experience to have to go get my seed phrase. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing because you don't want to
spending.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I'm keeping myself away from it, so it makes me double think whether or not I'm making the right decision and even entering whatever it is they're asking me for. You know what I mean? I think there's something to be said about even storing it in a safe or someplace out of reach. If you have to get up and get it, at least you have to double think, why am I actually getting this? Should I be putting this in here? Who is asking me for it? All the very important questions that we would ask between here and the safe, hopefully. But yeah. Okay, yeah, and hot, anything that plugs in. That's just my little thing here. And this is just all this is these two lines here is just differentiating between the two. Ease of use. The ease of use of hot, obviously, it's very easy to use because it's already online and I can go transact really quickly. My accessibility is going to be high, but obviously my personal risk is going to be high because I can easily trade and it connects to the internet. And my security is going to be a lot lower on hot. So, and that's really it. And this is yours to keep. You have a version of it in our chat. So feel free to take it home with you and do whatever you want, throw it away. And outside of that, is there any questions that you had?
I think no, actually, no, I did have a question. Do you have to fund a wallet first before using it? Because I've heard conflicting information. I've heard people say that they just throw up a piece of whatever and then they get their first sale and that's how they got their crypto. And then I've heard people say, no, you have to have money in the wallet because of the gas fees. And so I'm just trying to make sure I understand, if you have a wallet, does it have to already have the currency on it, or can you literally start with nothing and just put an NFT up or start a contract and it doesn't have one with or without an asset and be like, here's this contract for whoever wants to purchase it, versus, okay, no, I have to have money first and then say, okay, here, I have this contract.
This is a deep question because it's getting confusing because I feel like some companies are starting to really convolute the answer here.
I can make it pretty simple.
Please do, because I was about to go level 3
Yeah.
and she didn't need all that.
So they are confusing a bunch of concepts that we just subdivided. In a centralized exchange, you can go through and interact however you need to. Generally, you will need to fund it with fiat. Once you want to leave...
Well, that's why I was saying, because some you don't even need to fund it at all with fiat. You could just throw your NFT up there, and then once it sells, then that's when that's when it gets...
Really?
Things. Yep, it's getting kind of crazy out there. That's what things get interesting.
Yeah.
Yep, they're sometimes even putting the sale on the sale fees onto the buyer instead of the seller. So different markets are doing different things. So the answer is there are some places you can go and put up an NFT for zero down, and there's some where you have to go fund. And the ones that are zero down are probably dabbling in fiat and not doing pure crypto.
Well, and you could kind of explain that the same way that, like, if you were to build your own website to mint out NFTs, a lot of the guys, especially on Ethereum, are doing this system where they basically will set it up so that when you come in and you say, I would like to mint one of your NFTs, you click the button, it goes through and it takes Ethereum from your wallet, for the transactions, whatever the fee is, and it spends your Ethereum as the purchaser to create the smart contract on Ethereum network. So they're skipping a step by making you do that payment process. What they did was they set up a tool that allows you to create their smart contract using their assets. But in general, you do need to have at least a little bit of whatever asset on whichever network you're using to fund and or to pay the gas and transaction fees. And it's normally pretty minuscule, especially on anything that's not Ethereum. I mean, yeah, it's pretty easy, but in general, start out, go through whatever centralized exchange, buy some crypto of whichever variety you need, send it to that wallet, and you're in business.
Okay, cool. So when you say that, though, does that mean that the wallet, not the wallet, the cryptocurrency, that you can basically you're backing it with fiat in most cases up front to cover the gas fees, and then after you've made your sale or whatever, now you have your cryptocurrency that you can move forward with, which is either ETH or whatever coin base you went
Leftover.
with.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Leftover. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's exactly right.
Kind of.
Well,
Kinda.
she's saying
Yeah, I get it.
she's saying whatever's left over once you've made that transaction to that cryptocurrency and you buy that NFT in that cryptocurrency, whatever's left over is in that same cryptocurrency, and she would have to translate it back to fiat if she wanted that cash out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you move or should I say exchange currency? So like you have ETH, but you want Bitcoin for something. Can you exchange ETH for Bitcoin, or is that not a thing?
Kind of.
Yes, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to pay.
Okay.
Is it?
It's going to be a
I've never tried to do that.
Exchange fee
What
or exchange rate or something.
It'd be gas, but I'm curious to hear what he has to say because I've never tried to do this.
This is where dexes happen, and in most dexes, you're never going to touch fiat. If you are touching a fiat equivalent, it's going to be a stable coin, which is a crypto token that is then pegged to the value of, say, a US dollar. And yes, there will be specific instances where you will be able to trade between two specific pairs. And what is happening there is that they are translating basically Bitcoin is worth 30,000 and Ethereum is worth 3,000. And so one Bitcoin is worth 5.8 Ethereum, and that's the exchange rate at which you're making it at. And so they've made a protocol on their decentralized exchange which directly swaps what you have for another one, and it depends on whether or not they're using a book order system or if they're using a liquidity pool system like we do over in Osmosis. And at that point, you're either interacting with a protocol that is holding these large sums of both tokens, and it just swaps them for you like that, or you are doing a transaction with somebody else where you're saying, okay, you want my Bitcoin out of your Ethereum, and you guys just swap. And the protocol does that on the back end for you. So it gets a little weird, but trading pairs like Ethereum Bitcoin is pretty common.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure because I knew that like with fiat currency, you can always do currency exchanges, but I hadn't really heard about anybody making exchanges between ETH and Bitcoin and what that would look like. And so when you started talking about it, it's like, okay, I see it. Yeah, because they at different percentages or whatnot. So they are making the proper exchange and saying, okay, if this one's worth, more, we're going to give you a fraction, for the one that's less or what have you when
Yeah.
you make your exchange and vice versa. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that was an option.
Also, I know you mentioned Cosmos, but we did kind of talk about Pancake Swap earlier and then Uniswap.
Yeah.
Those are two, and they pretty widely used examples, I would say, right now of swapping platforms that allow you to swap between different cryptocurrencies. And it's been a minute since I've
There's dozens of swap
had to
services
swap
out
on there.
And all they're doing is they just have a larger purse of whatever, and they take your currency in and they spit out whatever currency you wanted. And honestly, I used them a ton. I still do here and there. If you want to get from Litecoin to Atom or whatever the hell you happen to have, I do that kind of stuff all the time. And they'll ask you, okay, how much of what are you giving us? They'll offer you, a rate. They'll tell you how much they're going to give you. You'll basically set that value, and then they'll give you an address to send to. You'll send your currency to them. You'll provide a different address, which is going to be a wallet for that next asset. And when you go through the whole thing, it just spits it right back out into the wallet that you provided for the secondary asset. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And that's why people
I think I got
tests. People will do tests, transfers too. They'll transfer a very small amount of whatever it is they're trying to
make
transfer.
sure the wallet is working, or just to make sure it's okay. Great.
To make sure, number one, that you're transferring it to your right address and everything gets there and you're happy, because the second you transfer all of it, it's goner, And so people have done that and accidentally, I don't know, maybe made a mistake in the address that they were sending it to, because it's easy to copy and paste the wrong address or something. Yeah. So I always check the first 5 digits, last 5 digits, of the token that it gives you. And what else would I do to double check?
It can get a little sticky if you're using swap services, because most of them will have a minimum limit, which is somewhere around $100. And so your minimum test transaction in that instance is going to be $100. However, if you're operating on a DEX or a centralized exchange, normally you can swap anywhere down to $1 or so.
Yes, that's right.
It's pretty minimal. So that little fee is sometimes
because they're taking on the risk for you.
Yeah.
Basically, you're paying them to take on the risk for you.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. Gosh, I'm going to sit with that. Okay. So many, but it's all wonderful. So it's just a lot to digest, but at the same time, it's still really exciting. So I'm still optimistic.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you're excited. That means that we've at least haven't pushed you away from it, and you're like, go running for the hills, be like, I hate this, I never want to do it again. Because that's definitely not what we're trying to do. We're trying to increase adoption.
I don't think it's you guys. I think it's just the information itself that's, if anyone's saying, yeah, no, this I can't, or I don't want to, I think it's just because it's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, and you weren't able to, I don't believe you were at the first blockchain one, were you? Because I think on that one, I actually had a presentation. That helped us kind of divulge through some of these topics, maybe in a way that was a little bit different.
I missed
and I'll run that one again. Yeah, I'll run that one again because I think that one was actually, you know what, we could just put up links now, because we would have links to both of them.
Yeah.
And
what's funny is you said links, and so out in the real world, I actually go by the name Link fairly regularly. A lot of my friends only know that name. And so you're like, links, as in the possession of my video. So it's like, yeah, you could totally do that. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes, as in like...
all I'm hearing is Zelda now.
Yeah.
No, as in the Twitch videos that have been created, because one got created for this one, and you were streaming the blockchain part 1. So what I can do is go put the links here, so you can actually see that if you want, because I do want to host it again. I just have to figure out when. It's going to get busy here for me in a little bit.
Well, Well, and you definitely need to progress. You can't keep repeating the same lessons over and over. So what I
Right.
suggest is putting a channel specifically for the educational series links, so that you can just have those quick at hand for anybody. They can pop through them. They can talk to you directly, here and there,
Absolutely.
watching them, and it's just all going to be a repository of tools that are available to the community here.
Yeah. I just
I'm
like this
glad you
kind of.
said that
I
because
love
that
the
gave me an
Q&A.
idea for what I can do on my Discord. So yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
awesome.
can make channels for
Winner.
anything.
This is so cool. You guys are so helpful. Thank you.
Oh, good. Well, we're weirdos. We like doing we love this type of stuff. Like it's just fun, I think, to enjoy engaging. I love to hear people's questions. Like that to me is like the coolest thing because I like to hear where their brains are going and what they're thinking through and what's important to them. And maybe I should be like one of those QA people that just sits and like, what do you think about this? I just listen intently to everything they say.
That's what the alpha it does on Twitch. Or just a Twitch channel, and there's like 3 to 5 of them chilling around, working on the computers, doing whatever, and they'll all just like respond to Twitch chat with answers about things about crypto, and that's all they do all day. Is they just sit there.
That's
To
cool.
do that for my stuff because I keep hearing. Well, my son told me a couple of years ago, and since I stopped gaming, I hasn't really been paying attention to Twitch or anything. He's like, "It's not just for gaming now, Mom. They do so many things." I'm like, "What?" Like, okay, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to redirect.
Mm-hmm.
I think
That's
that the
so
problem was for a
cool.
really long time that they were putting and they might even still be doing this, putting like everything other than games into one
No,
like
we've got our own crypto
location
segment, and you can have there's like a
section.
just everything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's enough of it. They'll make a tab for it.
That's fantastic.
So.
I am going to definitely hop onto the supernatural tab if they have one, so people can be like, "Hey, you do readings like that? You want to know about yourself?
I think there is
Ask
one.
questions. I got
Oh, how
answers."
cool.
That's funny.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is neat.
This,
All right.
Well,
like I said, thank y'all
this has
because this
been
has been
super
a
fun.
wonderful learning experience.
Yeah, when we get the links ready, I'll post it on up here so we have it links to this one and the other one, and there's 3 of them now, I think. So we'll see what happens.
2. Well, at least 2.
But thank you for being here.
Absolutely. We'll see how the recording sounds later, and I'm gonna kill that.